Hello, grade 9 students. Okay, our first topic for the first quarter for grade 9 mathematics is what we called the quadratic equation. First is we are going to determine or to know what is a quadratic equation, or when can we say that an equation is quadratic. So we can say that an equation is quadratic if the highest degree of the equation or the highest exponent of the variable in the given equation is 2. Otherwise, it is not quadratic. Okay. The quadratic equation has its standard form. The standard form of a quadratic equation is a x squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So, in order for us to solve a quadratic equation, we must see to it first that the given equation is written in its standard form. Now, the exponent of the variable or the highest degree of the equation is the one that tells us how many solutions the equation has. In this case, we will be concentrating on the quadratic equation. So therefore, the highest exponent must be 2, and it follows therefore that in a quadratic equations there are two solutions because of the highest exponent of 2. Okay, in solving quadratic equation, we are referring to the finding the value of the variables in the given equations in order for us or for the equation to be satisfied. When we say the equation to be satisfied, meaning that the left member of the equation must be equal to all the members on the right side of the equation. Meaning in this case, ax squared plus bx plus c, all the terms must all be equal to 0. Okay, in solving quadratic equation, there are four ways. We can solve quadratic equation by 1. Extracting the square root, 2. By factoring, 3. By completing the square, and 4. By the use of a quadratic formula. So first is we are going to apply on how to solve a quadratic equation by extracting its square root. Okay, before we can use the extracting the square root in solving a quadratic equation, we must see to it that the given equation or the given product must be the difference of two squares. For example, extracting, so we are going to use the extracting the square root. For example, you have x squared minus 4 equals 0. So transpose 4 to the other side, the equation becomes x squared equals positive 4. Extract the square root, we have x is equal to plus minus the square root of 4. Therefore, x is equal to plus minus 2. So there are two solutions. X is positive 2 and the other one is x is negative 2. Okay, another example. Number 2. For example, we have x squared minus 16 equals 0. To transpose 16 to the other side, it becomes x equals x squared is equal to positive 16. Extract the square root, since you have x is equal to plus minus the square root of 16. So x is equal to plus minus 4. Okay, another example. For example, we have y squared minus 1 equals 0. So transpose 1 to the other side, the equation becomes y squared equals 1. Extract the square root. So y is equal to plus minus the square root of 1. Y is equal to plus minus 1. Okay, next. Okay, another example. If you have number 4, so if we have x squared minus 100 equal 0, so you will have x squared equals 100. X is equal to plus minus the square root of 100. Then x is equal to plus minus 10. Okay, another example. If we have c squared minus 64 equals 0. So you have c squared is equal to 64. Extract the square root. So c is equal to plus minus the square root of 64. Then c is equal to plus minus 8. Okay, another example. For example, we have a squared minus 121 equals 0. So you have a squared is equal to 121. So a extract the square root. A is equal to plus minus the square root of 121. So a is equal to plus minus 11. So that is how we use we solve the quadratic equation by extracting its square root. Now we are going to use factoring. Okay. For example, we have x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. So you are going to factor out. So the factors of x squared is x times x. The factors of 3 is 3 times 1. Since the middle term is negative, the greatest factor of 3 must be negative. So negative 3, this is positive 1. Then equate the factors to 0. You will have x minus 3 equals 0. The other one, x plus 1 equals 0. Then transpose 3 to the other side becomes x equals positive 3 and the other one is x equals negative 1. So the solution set of the equation is 3 and negative 1. Okay, another example. For example, we have 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 equals 0. So factor out. So we have factors of 2x squared is 2x times x. The factors of 2 is 1 times 2. Since they are all positive, so all are positive. Okay? So 1 times x is x, 2x times 2 is 4 plus 1x is 5x. Then equate the factors to 0. You will have 2x plus 1 equals 0. The other one is x plus 2 equals 0. So transpose 1 to the other side, it becomes 2x equals negative 1. Dividing both sides of the equation by 2, you will have x is equal to negative 1 half. The other one, transpose 2 to the other side, you will have x equals negative 2. Okay, another example for factoring. So number 3, for example, we have 3x squared plus 4x plus 1 must be equal to 0. So factor out. So 3x squared has the factor of 3x times x, and 1 has the factor of 1 times 1. And since all are positive, so the factors also must be all positive. Then equate the factors to 0. You will have 3x plus 1 equals 0. The other one is x plus 1 equals 0. Transpose 1 to the other side, you will have 3x equals negative 1. Dividing the both equation by 3, so you have x is equal to negative 1 over 3. And the other one, transpose 1 to the other side, you will have x equals negative 1. So the solutions is negative 1 and negative 1/3. Okay, another example. For example, we have 2x squared minus x minus 3 must be equal to 0. So, factoring out. So, the factors of 2x squared is 2x times x. Then, it must be 3, 1. So, since x is negative, the middle term, so this must be negative 3, this must be positive 1. So that if you are going to multiply negative 3 times x, you will have negative 3x. 2x times 1 is 2x. Negative 3x plus positive 2x, you will have negative x. And then, equate the factors to 0. You will have 2x minus 3 equals 0. The other one is x plus 1 equals 0. So transpose 3 to the other side, the equation becomes 2x equals 3. Dividing both sides of the equation by 2, you will have x is equal to 3 over 2. On the other side, transposing transposing the transposing x to the transposing 1 to the other side of the equation, you will have x is equal to negative 1. So another example. Another example, if we have 5x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. So, we have 5x squared plus 3x minus 2 equals 0. So, factor out. So, you have the factors of 5x squared is 5x times x. And the factors of 2 is 2 times 1. And since the middle term is positive, so that is this one must be positive and this must be negative. So that 5x times 1 is 5x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. 5x plus negative 2x, you will have positive 3x. Then, equate the factors to 0. You will have 5x minus 2 equals 0. Transpose to the other side of the equation, you will have 5x equals 2. Dividing both sides of the equation by 5, so you will have x is equal to 2 over 5. The other one, you should have x plus 1 equals 0. Transpose 1 to the other side, so x equals negative 1. Okay, another example. If we have another example, for example, we have uh, x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So factor out. The factor of x squared is x times x. The factors of 4, you can have 2 times 2 or 4 times 1. Since the middle term is 3x, so you will have 4 times 1. And since the middle term is positive, so 4 must be positive, 1 must be negative in order for us to get the sum of the product of the inner and the outer. So 4 times x is 4x. X times negative 1 is negative x. 4x plus negative x, you will have positive 3x. Then, equate the factors to 0. You will have x plus 4 equals 0. Transpose 4 to the other side, so becomes x equals negative 4. And the other one, x minus 1 equals 0. So x equals positive 1. So next, wala na. Ano ba yan? Now we are going to solve the quadratic equation using completing the square. So completing the square. Okay. For example, we have number 1, x squared plus 6x plus 7 equals 0. So in solving quadratic equation by completing the square, you have to transpose the constant term to the other side. So you are going to transpose 7 to the other side. The equation becomes x squared plus 6x must be equal to plus. So 7 becomes negative 7. To complete this square, you are going to multiply the x term 1/2 then squared. So the x terms has 6 numerical coefficient of 6. So that is 6 times 1/2 150 squared is equal to 6 divided by 2 is 3. 150 squared equals 9. So this is the term that you are going to add in order to the equation be completed. So you will now have x squared plus 6x plus 9 is equal to negative 7 plus 9. So remember that whatever number added on the left side must also be added on the right side. And then factor out the left side, you will have, this is a perfect square trinomial. And if you have a product which is simply equal to a perfect square trinomial, the factors must be the square of a binomial. So just get the square of the first and the last term. So the square root of the first term that is squared is x, the middle term is positive, the square root of 9 is 3, and then square, you will have negative 7 plus positive 9, you will have positive 2. Extract the square root, you will have x plus 3 must be equal to plus minus 2. Then transpose 3 to the other side, the equation becomes x is equal to negative 3 plus minus 2. So therefore, x must be equal, so negative 3 plus 2, you will have negative 1, and x must also be equal to negative 3. So negative 5, sorry. So this must be negative 5. Negative 3 plus negative 2 is negative 5. Another example. So if we have number 2, if we have x squared plus 4x plus 1 must be equal to 0. So, transpose 1 to the other side, you will have x squared plus 4x plus must be equal to negative 1. So, multiply 4 by 1 half and then square. So, you will have 4 times 1 half quantity squared is equal to 2 quantity squared equals 4. So this is the one that you are going to add. So the equation now becomes x squared plus 4x plus 4 must be equal to negative 1 plus 4. Then factor out the left side, you will have x plus 2 quantity squared must be equal to positive 3. Extract the square root, you will have x plus 2 must be equal to plus minus the square root of 3. Then solving for x, so x is equal to negative 2 plus minus the square root of 3. Therefore, the value of x is equal to negative 2 plus the square root of 3. The other one is x is equal to negative 2 minus the square root of 3. Okay, next. Okay, another example, if we have, so number 3, for example, if we have 5x squared minus 4x minus 2 equals 0. So transpose negative 2 to the other side. Since a is not equal to 1, the first thing that you are going to do is to divide. Divide all the terms by 5. So you will have the equations becomes x squared minus 4 over 5x minus 2 over 5 equals 0. Then transpose the constant to the other side. the equation is x squared minus 4 over 5x plus is equal to 2 over 5. Then multiply 4, 5 by 1 half. So that is 4 over 5 times 1 half quantity squared. You will have 2 over 5 quantity squared equals 4 over 25. So the equation now becomes x squared minus 4 over 5x plus 4 over 25 is equal to 2 over 5 over 5 plus 4 over 25. Then factor out the left side. You will have x minus 2 over 5 quantity squared is equal to, the common factor is 25. So 25 divided by 5 is 5 times 2 is 10 plus 25 divided by 5 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. So you will have x minus 2 over 5 quantity squared is equal to 14 over 25. Then, so we have 14 over 25. So extract the square root. So you will have, so x minus, so that is 2 over 5. 2 over 5 is equal to plus minus the square root of 14 over 25. So you will now have x minus 2 over 5 is equal to plus minus the square root of 14 over 5. So transpose negative 2 over 5 to the other side, you will have x is equal to 2 over 5 plus minus the square root of 14 over 5. So therefore, the value of x now is x is equal to 2 plus the square root of 14 over 5, and the other one is x is equal to 2 minus the square root of 14 over 5. Okay, another example. Okay. Okay, another example, for example, is we have number 4. For example, if we have x squared plus 6x equals negative 2. Now, the constant term is already on the right side. So, to complete the square, you are going to multiply 6 times 1 half quantity squared. You will have 3 quantity squared equals 9. So this is the number that you are going to add to complete the square. So you will have x squared plus 6x plus 9 must be equal to negative 2 plus 9. So factor out the left side. You will have x plus 3 quantity squared must be equal to 7. Extract the square root. So you will have x plus 3 is equal to plus minus the square root of 7. Then transpose 3 to the other side of the equation. You will have x is equal to negative 3 plus minus the square root of 7. So therefore, the value of x now is x is equal to negative 3 plus the square root of 7. The other one is x is equal to negative 3 minus the square root of 7. So this is the value of x. Next, okay, for example, if we have number 5, for example, if we have x squared minus 10x equals negative 12. So the constant term is already on the right side. So you will just add. So that is 10 times 1 half quantity squared is equal to 100. No. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. Quantity squared, it is 25. So this is the one that you are going to add. So the equation becomes x squared minus 10x plus 25 must be equal to negative 12 plus 25. So factor out the left side. You will have x minus 5 quantity squared must be equal to positive 13. Extract the square root. So you will have x minus 5 is equal to plus minus the square root of 13. So transpose 5 to the other side. You will have x is equal to 5 plus minus the square root of 13. Therefore, the value of x, so x is equal to 5 plus the square root of 13, and the other one, x is equal to 5 minus the square root of 13. So these are the value of x.